Inject enough heart on the cutoff, the standard open. I would open a very wide range on the cutoff when the big blind is a very tight player. When I'm deciding my ranges to open, the player that I look the first is the big blind, because it's the player that is going to call or 3-bet more often than anyone else. So with a tight big blind, I will widen my ranges for all the positions, especially the button and the cutoff. For the cutoff, of course, I have to look at the player on the button as well. The small blind is pretty much irrelevant most of the time, because if he's a very loose player, everybody folds a lot on the small blind, and correctly so, because the small blind is a very bad spot to play back. Here I just called the big blind with a button raise with King 5 suited. Get a player that attempts to seal 52, I assume he opens the button maybe 60%. And King 5 suited is very playable against the top 60%. And for the same reason, I think I have to go with it when I flop top pair. Although in this case, with 4-2 flush, it's very hard to call a river bet. I probably won't. But otherwise, if the board doesn't get too ugly, I think I can't fold. I can't fold top pair because his range is so wide that he'll have a lot of bluffs and weaker hands. I mean, when I don't have a very strong read on the tendencies to c-bet and 2-barrel and 3-barrel, I think I have to go with general frequencies, and I think I can beat his range very, very often. And the c-bet is 74%, so he tends to a player who c-bets and barrels a lot. In this case, he had like an open-ender on the flop and then hit a flush on the river, and he checked back a high flush. It was probably correct, because I probably wouldn't call. When I check call twice with 2 clubs and 3 clubs on the board, I don't expect him to. I expect him to think that I have a club very often, so we will not bluff, I think. Here I open King Jack offsuit, middle position. I could have folded, but the table seems tight in general. The player on the button is very tight. So I like to open, but then check folded when I get called by the cutoff. I very often check fold when I raise earlier middle position and get called by middle position or cutoff. Those are usually very tight ranges to call. So I don't see that pure hair a lot of the time in that situation. Here I open Queen 10 offsuit on the cutoff, then bet the flop. He top to pair on a 3 heart board, and when the 4 heart comes, I think I have to give up. Because his range to call my flop bet is either some kind of pair that is going to check down most likely, or some kind of heart that is going to win, and he still has a very wide value betting range, although he checked behind the turn. He doesn't have the ace of hearts, but he may have the king, jack, or 9 of hearts easily with this line. Probably not the king, but that's still a possibility. I defend my big blind with king 10 suited. Very standard. Now I flop top pair. I'm going to check call most likely. When he checks back, I can go for 2 streets of value.